Hey, everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. Welcome to PHLY Flyers Postgame presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games for the evening. Joining me tonight, it is Broad Street Hockey's own Kelly Hinkle. Charlie will be along in just a little bit. Can't imagine John Tortorella is going to have a whole lot to say about this one.
I got a lot to say about him.
It was, all right. Let's start there. Now, first of all, we've been saying for a while, they're playing hard, they're playing defense, they're checking, they're blocking shots, they're doing the little things right. They just can't score or get any saves. And when your power play is at 0%, like this is literally 0%, this is just what's going to happen. You traded away all those guys,
Sure.
Risto's out. It kind of just is what it is. Even like your fourth line, like Hathaway hasn't been seen in freaking forever. There's an NHL player, if nothing else. So they've kind of been a victim of circumstance. Now, I don't want to take away from some like individual efforts maybe in the third period. Looked like the Coots, TK Misch line was still playing, whatever. For the most part, this was not the team that we've seen like be engaged and just kind of like, yeah, they're not good enough. What are you going to do? That wasn't the team tonight. Now, Toronto considerably better. Like
a little bit better, yeah.
Two different leagues. Like
right.
The Flyers, if you were to like have a flow chart of some kind, like the Flyers are far closer to an AHL team than they are the Maple Leafs. But like, come on. This was barely even a game. I feel like it
was a tough one. I mean, you expect Toronto to be a lot better than the Flyers, and they in fact were a lot better than the Flyers. But like, it's just, Bill, we've been told constantly, at least once a week, I don't know, man, I got to try to go in and win each and every one of these games. We got to go into each one of these games trying to win. Are you trying to win with 5 defensemen against the Toronto Maple Leafs? You only have 6 healthy defensemen.
Yeah.
Let's play 5 of them instead of 6. And maybe we can, F around and see if maybe we can get another one hurt just for funsies. Like, it's just, don't tell me that I have to suffer all of your bullshit, your stuff because you have to win every game and you can't tank and you're not going to try to lose. It's not in you. And then bench Cam York for 50 minutes because he made a mistake. Like, I'm very tired of proving points. I've had enough points.
Like, on one hand, it's, I guess if you're going to ask them to play hard till the very end, you have to continue to coach them the same way. But to that point, this is now back-to-back games. The Flyers have allowed 7 goals, and you can debate how many of them you can blame on the goalie. But we never play that game when it's time to pull the goalie. In fact, Many times it's like, yeah, it's not his fault at all. We just need to wake the freaking team up, so we change. Torts calls a timeout after the Nylander goal makes it 5-1.
Thought for sure.
Are you shocked beyond belief that they didn't make a goalie change for the second game in a row? You left your starter in to wear all 7. That is rough treatment of the netminders. And listen, there is part of me that's like, look at their numbers. They've sucked pretty much all year. They deserve to take, if the players have to take the beating, so too do the goalies. I get that. It's just like, what happened to waking up the team? I don't know. It just doesn't feel, and maybe he's just like, screw it. He's like the rest of us, John Tortorella. It is probably better to lose. It would be great a top 5 pick. But like, it just seems like mixed messaging a little bit. No,
you're absolutely right. And I don't know if it was just like obstinance, like, I'm not putting Fedotov in. I don't like him. Yeah. I'm not going to put him in like that. I don't know if it was that or if it was just he was doing what I think he was doing to Fedotov the other day, which was, I'm going to let him wear this because he deserves to. I mean, Ersson, you let in 7 goals. I'm not really going to waste a lot of time defending you, but
yeah,
it was just a very ugly game, start to finish. It was, and there were like 3 other defensemen you probably could have benched if you were going to hold them all.
Like Cam York, listen, we should hold him to the higher standard because he is one of your, at this point, top 3 defensemen, I guess, with Sanheim and Drysdale. Drysdale, another point tonight. That was nice to see. But like, yeah, it's just, the team gave up 7 goals. I bet there are a lot of guys who didn't pull their weight tonight. And more than the own goal, it's probably like he loses that battle. He needs to get rid of that. He needs to do something. And it just, like, he sucked on the play. And then ultimately the puck bounces off of him into the net. Like, okay, sure. He doesn't, he hasn't earned his ice time or whatever. Who the hell did? Like, who the hell actually earned their ice time tonight? Again, you have given up 14 goals in the last 2 games.
So funny.
I don't know. And
one of those games was the Blackhawks.
Yes, exactly. Like, at least tonight, it's like, well, you look at the box score. It's the Leafs. You just open it up. Like, Mitch Marner, only one assist from Marner. Like, you scroll down, Nyes, 2 points. McMahon, a goal and an assist. Nylander, 2 goals, 2 assists. Tavares, 2 goals, 2 assists. Like, all right. Yeah, sure. But it's on the heels of giving up 7 to Chicago. And that one I was just kind of chalking up to, like, I don't know, road afternoon game against one of the worst teams in hockey. Like, I don't expect anyone to be up for this game, regardless of what team they are. Stanley Cup contender, rebuilder, whatever. But then to follow it up with this, I think it's time for the serious questions of, like, I don't know. Tonight is the first time I thought the effort matched the results. And once that starts to happen, like I said in pregame, having conversations with Petey from our old colleague from PHNX, and he's just asking me, like, you think Torts survives the summer and this and that? I was like, I think so, but I do believe it's a conversation. I'm really starting to wonder. I'm really starting to wonder if it just, like, has run its course. And everyone knows, like, I'm a Torts supporter 75%. I buy into like 75% of John Tortorella. I think he's a good teacher. I think there are ways in which he can make young players better for the future. But those things get offset when the team is just like, I am done with this. And I do think that is a big part of it. Like, there's all the trades, the players they've lost. That's one thing. Risto and Hathaway, there's 2 NHL players you're missing. All of the AHL players and 4th liners that are in this lineup, that's all part of it. The power play, I don't know. I guess we blame the coach, the personnel, whatever. It's all a problem. But once the effort goes, what's left? Like, what are we learning now? They come home for a few. I wonder if at home we start to see, Shawzy's got it tonight. Rocky's got it tonight. I wonder if we start to see that with now 9 games left.
When did he do it last year? I don't remember how many.
I feel like it was left. Was it like the last 2 or 3 games, maybe?
It was very few. It wasn't a lot.
This is something I should look up before I talk about, just so I know the actual time frame.
Why would any of us know anything, Bill? Don't be silly.
But I feel like it wasn't with, almost a month left and 3 weeks left in the season. I don't think it was that long.
It's just that the whole Torts thing, the whole shtick, right, is supposed to be the end thing that you're supposed to get out of all of this nonsense is a team that plays better than its talent level, a team that works harder than the other teams on the ice, and a team that ends up winning games that they probably shouldn't have been in just on sheer force of will. We have not been seeing a lot of that for the second half of this season. And if you're not getting that from the John Tortorella experience, then it gets real old real quick. It's getting old for us.
Yeah.
I can only imagine it's getting old for these guys who have to deal with this shit every single night only to go out there and lose 7-2. Is it on them that they're losing 7-2? Of course, it's on them. But the whole point of, like I said, the whole point of suffering through it is that at the end, there's supposed to be some benefit to it. And I feel that we're not seeing the benefit anymore.
And outside of a couple of guys, last year, I think you can make a real case for a number of dudes who got better. Outside of definitely Jamie Drysdale, I guess there's a case for Cates and Brink, sorta. Matvei Michkov, we don't have we don't have a before picture, and he was supposed to be a superstar, I don't know.
He's just good.
We'll have to ask him in 10 years, did John Tortorella help you? That's the only way. That's the only way we'll ever know. But who is better right now? We said a few shows ago, if this was, they're still competing. The guys who are supposed to be doing stuff are doing stuff. And then in the third period, they get bulldozed because they only have 2 NHL lines. Okay, totally acceptable. And you factor in the goaltending and the power of special teams as a total at this point. Yeah, okay, makes sense. That's not what's happening. Because outside of Sean Couturier, Jamie Drysdale, Matvei Michkov, and Travis Konechny, ain't no one doing a damn thing.
No.
And I guess part of that is encouraging. We need those guys to be good. But everyone else on this team, if they're going to take a step next season, as we expect them to want to, feel like you need those other dudes. And I don't know, man, did Tyson Forster get better this year? I don't think so.
No, and
I don't think so.
No, you could definitely make the argument that Cates and Brink are better than last season. But those are in an ideal universe, those are bottom 6 guys. I don't think that the future success of the Flyers rests on Cates and Brink.
No.
Drysdale, very important piece. It's a big deal that he got better this year, but I am going to give that one to Brad Shaw. I'm not giving that to Torts. So outside of Drysdale, I don't think any of the guys that we expect to be impact players on this team have gotten better this season.
All right. Before we go any further, I got to take a couple of minutes to tell you about a few of our sponsors. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365, and I am absolutely shocked to tell you that Scotty Laughton did not show up in the box score tonight. No goal, which was our pregame bet and anytime goal. No points. Kind of crazy to see Scott Laughton in his return game against the Flyers not putting up a single point, but so be it. Whether you are placing your bets, on the spread, total, whatever, I think you should make Bet365 your sports book of choice. There's lots of features I love about it. The early payouts, for instance. Soon as you bet a team on the money line and they go up by 3 goals, boom, you get paid. It's that easy. So make sure you use Bet365. And we have breaking news from our presenting sponsor, Bet365. New customers now get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5, win or lose. Sign up, use the code PHLY365, deposit $10, and place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets, whether your initial bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, total, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in PA. If you or somebody who has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And while we're here, as I lose it, while we're here, I have to tell you about another one of our great sponsors here. It's Timeline. That's right. Timeline sells health and longevity supplements featuring their proprietary MitoPure ingredient. MitoPure works with the cells in your body to help reverse age-related decline. That sounds kind of nice. Benefits include increased strength, energy, and endurance. Timeline has secured over 30 U.S. patents and 15 years of research behind their products. And a lot of our hosts here at PHLY have already tried the Timeline MitoPure supplements, and they are already experiencing tremendous results when it comes to just that little extra you need as you start to get older. So you got to check out Timeline right now, because right now Timeline is giving you 10% off your order of Mitapure. Go to timeline.com/PHLY today to get started. That's timeline.com/PHLY. Feed themselves. Feed them. All right. Yeah, just the effort that we have seen, and typically I don't talk about a team's effort. Typically, I think a team gives you most of what they have every night. I don't think that has been the case the last 2 games. I was willing to just write off Chicago because, like, whatever. Yeah, it's Chicago. Like, all right. But now, twice in a row, you give up 7. It is the worst 2-game stretch that they've had this year. 7 goals, 2 consecutive games. They gave up 6 and 5 in consecutive games to the Caps and Wild in late October. And they gave up 6, 7, 4, 7 in a 4-game stretch leading up to the Christmas break in mid-December. But that's pretty much it. 14 goals in 2 games, the most they have given up this year. Before we get to the York stuff, I want to point out one of the positives, or maybe it isn't a positive. Ryan Poehling is one of the team's leading scorers this month. His 4th goal of the month of March. I think he has 7 points this month, which puts him in the top 2 or 3 for the team. This is something I want to ask Charlie. Like, not like, oh, is he something else? No, I don't think so. But I do think it speaks to maybe this team just needs to simplify a little bit. Like, we know what kind of player Ryan Poehling is. He flashes a little more skill now and then. He's got the speed. But ultimately, what is he going to do? He is going to play north-south hockey and try to get pucks on net. And it's been effective. It's been at least more effective than freaking anybody else. So far this month. And his ears must have been burning. Without further ado, it is Philadelphia's number 1 hockey beat writer, Charlie O'Connor, joining us before the 18-minute mark, which can only tell me Torts just had a lot to say tonight. Charlie, before we get into anything else, thoughts on the game and standout comments?
Well, it was a terrible game, and I don't think anybody is going to try to sugarcoat this one. It was real bad, and it's their 2nd straight real bad game because, they only lost by 3, only 3. On Sunday, but that was against a significantly worse team than Toronto Maple Leafs are. If the Flyers played the way they play, which they pretty much did, but like this is the equivalent of the way they played against the Blackhawks. It's just that Toronto is a better team, so Toronto wins by 5, whereas the Blackhawks can only win by 3. Like, and what happened? I mean, what it seems like happened, and this is more or less what Sean Couturier said, is that last week they played 3 legitimately good games. They played well against Tampa. They played well against Washington. They played well against Dallas. They didn't win any of those games. And now you're seeing the frustration that builds from playing good hockey and not getting rewarded. Tonight, they were making mistakes. And Toronto is a real good team, and they capitalized on a bunch of them. The goaltending wasn't especially good, as it hasn't been most of the year. Didn't erase those mistakes. That's how you get 7 goals against. Look, there's a lot, actually, that probably can be broken down about this game, starting with the decision to bench Cam York, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a few minutes. But at its core, what this is a team that is nowhere near as good as it was at the start of the year, and it wasn't that good at the start of the year. And now that team is also frustrated as hell because even when they play well, they're not getting results. And that's how you give up 7 goals in 2 consecutive games. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, so that's what I kind of wanted to talk about tonight, was like the effort and the causation of what we're seeing, because listen, they're not good, and we've been saying for a few weeks they're not getting results, but they're defending, they're checking hard, they're doing the little things. It's just like they never score, they don't really get big saves, so this is what happens. You lose most time, you lose most games, but the effort's there. Can you honestly say it was there tonight? Because I was willing to chalk up Chicago to, listen, weekend, back-to-back, who's up for a matinee against one of the worst teams in the league? These are just things that happen to every team. But now we've seen it in consecutive games. Is it finally like this team just going, all right, we submit?
I mean, I hate and I go with people on Twitter about this all the time. And over the last 7-8 years of my time covering the team, I've had a lot of arguments with people on Twitter about this because fans love to jump to they quit, they're not trying, they're not giving any effort thing. I don't think that's what's happening. I still see them skating. I still see them checking. I still see them trying. I see a team that no longer believes that it's going to work. I definitely see that. I see a team that's discombobulated, and I see a team that is definitely letting a little woe is me drip into their game. Is like, well, we make a mistake and it immediately ends up in the back of our net. What's the point? It's a little nihilism. But no, I don't see a team that isn't trying. And I rarely, in all these years of the Flyers being bad, since I've covered this team, I can probably count the number of games on two hands, maybe one hand, but definitely at least two hands, where I legitimately believed that the team didn't give their like close to full effort, where it was really like, man, they really dogged it in this one. And I don't think this was one of those games. It takes a lot for me to say that because I don't think fans understand the mentality of NHL players, and that players, like, and I'm saying this as a media person, players don't mind. Like they'll get annoyed because they don't like to see criticism of them on Twitter and in media or whatever. They don't mind really if you say, man, they stunk in that game. Man, they played like crap, because they know they did. But what really bothers them, what really ticks them off, is when you say they don't care, when you say they didn't try. So because of that, I go into that room every day. And if I'm going to say that, if I'm going to say that a team gave up, a team doesn't care, I need to really believe they did. Because that's the kind of shit that is going to get you screamed at by a player if you say it. So like fans on Twitter can say that stuff with a lot more ease than I will, because I know how much of a like bomb that is throwing into a room to say that the guys don't care.
Yeah. Okay, maybe more than quit. Like we've seen teams quit. I don't think that's what we're seeing. I do think they're starting to get worn down, like you said.
Sure.
Like just worn down by all of it. Like you said, some of the woe is me creeping in. Put on top of that the John Tortorella experience, just the way you have to play, the mind games, whatever, all of it. Is it just kind of like, all right, now not only are we out of gas, the fumes have run out. Like, it's not that they're trying not to play hard, but they just can't hit the same level, regardless of talent, because, like, listen, dog, we just played 72 of these, you know?
Well, I can say this, if you're going to go to the John Tortorella of it all, look, agree or disagree with his decision to sit Cam York for the final 50 minutes of the game. You're at the end of a busy road trip with a lot of travel against a lot of really good teams. Cam York is a 20-minute-a-night defenseman, and you intentionally, for the final 50 minutes of that game, went with 5 defensemen. That, while that's not a tanking move, because it's not like Torts did it because he's trying to increase their lottery odds. Maybe that's something that Twitter fans might have done, but that's not the reason Tortorella did it. By the same token, that dramatically decreases your chances of winning the game. As bad as York was playing in this game, and he was playing bad, he was not playing well, and it wasn't just that shift. That makes life more difficult for every other defenseman on this team. And Tortorella clearly didn't care, but the guys playing must have cared, because that's more work they got to put in at the end of a long trip with a lot of losses. And do I think that contributed to the loss? Sure. I absolutely think that contributed to the loss.
All right. The Cam York situation loses the battle behind the net, coughs up the puck. Ultimately, then, insult to injury, puck bounces off of him and ends up in the back of the net. A nightmare shift, which then results in him not playing the final, 50 minutes of the game or so. Thoughts, Charlie?
Well, I mean, my main thought was I didn't think it was. Look, I like Cam York as a player. I think he's better than a lot of people I think are giving him credit for over this most recent stretch. But it's hard for me to I'm not angry on his behalf that he was sat in this game, because he was not playing well. He had a terrible shift. He was not playing well. So it's hard for me to get too aggrieved on his behalf. I do feel aggrieved on behalf of the other defensemen, because I think you put them in a really, really bad spot because you felt like you had to send a message to Cam York. I also think that I guess I see where Torts is coming from in the sense that like he thinks it's a teaching moment, but I don't know what he's teaching Cam York
Right.
because Cam York is not the kind of guy who responds well to Torts's type of teaching.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. I just want to ask about Ryan Poehling real quick because he's been one of few bright spots, and honestly, his surge in March more just points out how ineffective pretty much everyone else has been. But do you think? I said this to Kelly a few minutes ago. Do you think it's possible? He's kind of like, this is a lesson for the guys who might be out of gas, who might just be like, got to get through these final games. What kind of player is Ryan Poehling? He is the kind of player who's going to, use his speed. Maybe he is a little more skilled than we give him credit for sometimes, but he's a north-south guy who's just going to get the puck on the net. Is that a lesson for everyone else? Just kind of, dude, no one's asking you to be an all-star out there. Just kind of do those little things that Ryan Poehling does.
You know what? Probably it probably is because Ryan Poehling over the last 7 games has 6 points. He has been the Flyers' most consistent offensive weapon. But by the same token, if Ryan Poehling, and this isn't a slight against Ryan Poehling, he's a perfectly solid NHL bottom sixer. I'm totally if I'm building a hockey team and he's in my bottom 6, that's cool. He's perfect fit in a bottom 6 on any NHL team. Any coach would love to have him. But if he's your offense driver, you have a problem. He's not that player. And he has been because so many of the guys on the team are who you would expect. And they do still have guys who are more offensively gifted than Ryan Poehling, who you would expect to be scoring more than him. Those guys aren't producing enough. So that's the big issue there. Now, can guys look to Poehling? Yeah, maybe some of the guys who are better or less skilled, who are struggling, who haven't been producing, can look to Poehling and say, well, it still works. So do what he does. But to me, the guys who need to start scoring are guys who I don't want playing like Ryan Poehling. Like I don't want Matvei Michkov and Travis Konechny and Owen Tippett playing like Ryan Poehling. I want them playing like the skill players I know they are. Now, I think Konechny's turning the corner a bit. Michkov is pretty much Michkov on some level every night. Tippett's a mess. He needs to play more like Owen Tippett. I don't want him playing like Ryan Poehling. I want him playing like Owen Tippett. He needs to figure out what it takes to get him there. So I don't totally disagree with you, Bill, but I also think that the guys who need to step up are guys that I don't want playing Ryan Poehling style anyway.
Fair enough.
So, Charlie, this is the second game in a row now that Torts has kind of let a goalie sit in giving up 7 goals over the course of the game. I was sure when he called that timeout after the 5th goal that Ersson was going to get pulled. Were you surprised that he didn't? And do you think that there's like some deliberate thought process in letting each of these guys kind of like eat this kind of game the whole way through?
No, I don't think it's malicious or, well, you're playing bad, so you're just going to have to deal with the stats. Here's my theory as to why Ersson played this entire game. And I might be totally off. This is not based on inside information, but it's just based on reading the tea leaves and knowing what happened earlier today. So earlier today, they called up Aleksei Kolosov. Now, Aleksei Kolosov was not the backup, but he's now up on the team. They used their final recall for Aleksei Kolosov. That tells me that if he's up, he's going to be back in this mix. He's going to get games. I feel like the reason why they called him up is probably because they no longer have faith in Fedotov. And I think the reason why they kept Ersson in this game is because after watching Ivan Fedotov this past weekend, John Tortorella has zero confidence in him. And he was afraid that if he put him in the game might have been 14-1 or 14-2 or whatever. That at least with Ersson, he might not have been playing great, but he could at least trust that Ersson was going to make it so it wasn't a total embarrassment. That's my theory.
It makes sense. My next question was going to be about Kolosov and kind of that whole situation. We have an entire hour to get into dumb stuff like that tomorrow, Charlie. But like, it has to be that, right? Like, what other reason would there be for Kolosov being here with the Phantoms about to make a run and only one call up left, right?
That's my assumption. I would have to guess that he's going to play because why else would you call him up? You finally got him to accept the demotion to the Phantoms. To me, this strikes me as a John Tortorella went to Danny and was like, you can't make me play Ivan Fedotov anymore after this past weekend. He's just not, he doesn't have it. I gave him a shot and he was awful. That's my guess. Like, because that just seems like something that Tortorella would do, where he would just lose confidence in a goalie and say, "Get me the other guy. I can't play this guy." But that's just a guess. It really is just a guess.
That's what now? 8 games or 9 games left. There is one back-to-back. You think Harrison plays 8 of them?
No. I think they'll throw whoever it is, whether it's Fedotov or Kolosov or both. I don't know. No, I don't think they're going to just run Ersson into the ground because there's no need. There's really no, like, they're not competing. The playoffs are over. Yeah, I think they'll spread it out a little bit because Ersson's not playing well. Maybe if Ersson was throwing up shutouts, they'd roll him out there for 8 games, but he's not playing that well either. He's just not playing as poorly as Fedotov did this weekend.
All right, Chuck, the most important question of the night. What's your favorite Mike Myers movie?
Oh, good question.
He was in the stands. I know you don't get to see the broadcast, but he and Dave Foley were sitting together. They showed them on the broadcast, and Jim Jackson had no idea who Dave Foley was, which I found, kind of disrespectful, but it was it was funny.
I feel like, I might be missing. I'm afraid I'm missing a movie where like he was in a supporting role that maybe is really good. Like I love like Inglourious Bastards, and he is in a supporting role in that.
Yeah,
That's right.
But like it's probably Wayne's World, right? Like the first one, it's just such a classic.
Look who you're asking.
Yeah. The correct answer is So I Married an Axe Murderer.
I thought you might go Axe Murderer, Kelly. That's why I wanted to ask. All right. Before we let Charlie go, we of course have to get to Charlie O'Connor's 3 stars of the game.
Who would they be?
Presented by Rite Aid.
Geez.
That's right. It's the Rite Aid 3 stars. Charlie, who the hell are you picking for star number 3?
Yeah, none of these are going to be Flyers.
What?
I know, it's shocking, right? No, in all honesty, I'm just going to go with this whole line. So 3rd star, Bobby McCann. He does score what I do think was the turning point goal of this game, because the Flyers are down 2-1 after 1, but they're still in it. And then what I really thought was the turning point of the game, which I'm going to put in my article, is Sean Couturier has the opportunity to score. He whiffs on a chance at the start of the second period, and then they go right down the ice and score, and it's Bobby McCann who gets that goal. From that moment on, the route was on, but it's a totally different game if Couturier scores right there. Suddenly, it's a tie score. It's 2-2, and who knows how the rest of the game plays out. They completely lost themselves after that play. Bobby McCann's the guy who ends up putting the puck in the net there, so Bobby McCann, 3rd star of the game.
All right, it's time for Charlie O'Connor's 2nd star of the game.
The 2nd star of the game, John Tavares. Again, that whole line. But Tavares is really good. He's still a really good player. I feel like he probably still gets too much grief from Toronto fans because he isn't a superstar anymore, but he's still a very, very good player.
Pretty close.
And he showed it tonight. He showed that he can still get it done. And I don't keep too close tabs on the insanity of Toronto Maple Leafs fans, but I gather that a lot of them are frustrated with Tavares, who were frustrated with Tavares. He's still a real good player. He showed it tonight, 2nd star.
Whenever I look up Tavares's numbers, I'm like, this is the guy they're all mad about? Like, yeah. Okay, all right. And tonight's 1st star.
1st star is William Nylander. He was everywhere tonight.
He was so good.
Truly everywhere. He gets the 1 goal because it goes off Sealer, but even if that didn't hit Sealer, it was going right to Tavares, who was going to dump it in anyway because it was such a perfect pass. Nylander was flying tonight. He was incredible, and it's just another one of those moments where you're like, man, the Flyers are far away because Nylander's that good, and he's like their 3rd best player.
All right, Charlie, I've been meaning to ask you this since the trade deadline, and it just hasn't come up, but we all know that while you are a capital J journalist, you have a special place in your heart where you hate the Toronto Maple Leafs. Does Scott Laughton's place on that roster maybe soften you a little bit to be rooting for them just a tiny bit come these Stanley Cup playoffs?
Oh no, I'll be rooting for them. Yeah, Laughton is deserving of my mini fandom during this playoff run. I'd like to see Scott Laughton get rewarded for all the years and games and BS that he's had to put up with over his time as being a Philadelphia Flyer. Yeah, I'll be rooting for the Leafs for as long as their playoff run goes. Sure.
Wow, look at that. And his heart grew 3 sizes that day. All right, that is Charlie O'Connor coming to us live from what the hell is the Scotiabank Arena. Charlie, we will talk tomorrow, my friend. Safe travels.
All right, see you guys.
Bye, Charlie.
All right, and before we get into the rest of the show, I got to tell you about our friends at Shady Rays.
Oh.
It's warming up here in Philly. You know this is the place. It's always sunny. And our friends at Shady Rays are helping you get in the right frame of mind with their premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. That's right. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their sunglasses have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. They also have ski and snowboard goggles for all of you who maybe want to hit the slopes one more time. But look at this. You know, I say the crystal clear optics. I'm clearly reading this off of my phone right now. A lot of times, some polarized glasses will give you a really weird reflection and mess with your eyes. My wife says it kind of makes her dizzy when she looks at the nav screen when she's driving. Not Shady Rays. That's right. I'm reading this perfectly. It's not messing with my eyes a little bit. And that's just one of the reasons they have all those 5-star reviews. So PHLY viewers and listeners, go to shadyrays.com and save 35% off polarized sunglasses with code PHLY. Over 300,000 people have rated Shady Rays 5 stars. Find out why. Just go to shadyrays.com and use code PHLY today. And while we're here, I got to tell you, man, I think we've had enough finance-related sponsors over the last few years for most of our audience to know, like, I am not the most responsible spender. I love going out to restaurants. I love going to games, having fun, just live events, whatever it is. And when I do those things, I tend to lose my budget a little bit. And that's why Monarch Money has become such an important part of my financial planning and daily life. Finances can be messy and confusing, to say the least. And Monarch Money acts like your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control so you can stop simply earning and start growing. That's right. Monarch is more than your average budgeting app. Monarch Money is a complete financial command center for all your accounts, investments, and goals so you can start managing your finances to build the life you actually want. You can track all your spending, savings, and investments effortlessly with all your accounts, credit cards, and everything you need to take control of your budget in one place. And those are just a few of the reasons Monarch Money was named Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025. So get control of your overall finances with Monarch Money. Use code PHLY at monarchmoney.com for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code PHLY. Yeah, honestly, Kelly, there was a point where I was like, did we just talk about Mike Myers all night? I like the Inglourious Bastards mentioned by
that is
Charlie.
that is a good one. That's a very Charlie pick for best Mike Myers movie.
It is. I love his cameo in the Queen movie, Bohemian Rhapsody, just because he says,
I didn't see that.
Oh, he's a record exec, and they're playing him Bohemian Rhapsody, and he says teenagers are never going to drive in their cars headbanging to this. And that was my favorite part of the movie.
That's amazing.
I yelled in the theater, and no one I was with even recognized it was him because he looked so odd. I was like, no, it's amazing. A great joke. It's a tremendous joke. All right. What we're gonna do now is the Ace Hardware temperature check. Let's take a look at which flyer is heating up or cooling off with our Ace Hardware temp check. Visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project. We're going to go with Jamie Drysdale. He's actually been heating up a little bit. 4 goals and 6 points this month. That puts him top 3 on the team, I think. I got to recalculate it, but pretty sure he's top 2 or 3 on the team in scoring this month. And I'm glad to see him. You know, he had those 3 goals earlier in the month that were all basically the same. He's in the slot, just kind of lets a shot go. And that's cool. Him activating in the offensive zone, getting down low, good stuff. But his last 3 points, a goal and 2 assists, have come from using his shot, or at least getting the puck towards the net from distance, which is how a defenseman can rack up points kind of sustainably. You know, you don't expect them leading 2-on-1s all the time or getting into the slot. But if you can get guys to tip pucks and things like that from from that slot area by getting the puck to them. That is absolutely huge. He had the assist on the TK goal last game. The Coots goal tonight came from the getting the puck just right on his stick. Nice shot. And I still think the shot has a long way to go with Jamie Drysdale. That's one of the things I want him doing all summer, is just like pumping slap shots on his driveway net, But it's good to see, like, the last couple of games, him getting that shot off from distance, getting it towards traffic or whatever, and creating offense that way, because it's how defensemen have to score in this league.
I always love seeing if you're going to go hot or cold with these, because it would be very easy for you to just pick guys that are playing like crap and cooling off. But it's nice to find some good things, and Jamie Drysdale has absolutely been heating up.
I've been trying to alternate. I've been trying to go hot and cold because, the team stinks and they've given up 14 goals the last 2 games. It's real easy to be negative.
Yeah, right.
But
exactly.
I'm trying to just go back and forth a little bit and point out a few positives, because there are guys that I think are doing mostly what they are supposed to do, not nearly enough. That said, the losing is good. Like, the Sabres win, Nashville wins, getting
Tonight
closer, baby.
It was a great tank night.
And we will do Tankathon in just a little bit. But that's our Ace Hardware temp check. I'm going to do something a little new tonight, Hinkle. I don't think I told you that this is what I was going to do, because I'm sitting there watching the game. I think it's like 5-1 at the time. And I just text Vince and go, Vince, we got to do something for the people who join us live, like, every freaking night, and who watch this post game at all. Like, I don't want to be watching this game. And these people, like, they watch the games and then they tune into the show. We have to do something in terms of fan appreciation.
Are we going to show feet?
No, they have to pay for that. That's
true.
We're going to start the Patreon for to show the couch, show the feet. That's going to be on the Patreon. No. So we are going to have a keyword on each of the final 10 post games starting tonight. And all you have to do is DM the keyword to @PHLY_Flyers, our Flyers Twitter account. And you will be in the running for a free t-shirt of your choice. When I'm going to select the winners at random, figure something out, use one of those randomizers, whatever, just all the people who DM me this keyword, boom, pick the name out of a hat, essentially, free shirt. You tell me what you want, size, address, we'll get it to you. No cost to you. Free t-shirt, one for each of the last 10 post games. Tonight's keyword is leaves, as in the Toronto Maple Leaves, because
this is a fun idea.
Leafs is grammatically incoherent. I don't care if it's a proper noun. I don't care about the history of it. It's silly sounding. Tonight's keyword is leaves. So DM that to @PHLY_Flyers, our Flyers Twitter account, and we will pick a winner at random. Isn't that fun?
That is extremely fun. I love this idea.
Little something extra for the people, because Kelly, I'm like, I don't want to do this, and I'm getting paid.
There's like 400 people here, Bill.
Yes, I know, they're insane. They're the best fans.
What's wrong with you guys?
In the freaking world. They are absolutely deserving of some sort of fan appreciation. Yes. If we could do more, I would. I could get 10 free shirts, one for each of the final shows. So that's what we're doing. It's going to be a shirt of your choice, and leaves, LEAVES. All right, so Jamie Drysdale, he at least put up a point. Matvei Michkov, he keeps climbing, Kelly. Keeps climbing that rookie scoring list. Now he's at 51 points. Gets the secondary assist on the Sean Couturier goal. He has gone 10 straight without a goal of his own, but he's racking up the assists, and it's great to see. And we're seeing how this kid, we were worried about this trip and really this really condensed month of March. He came back so hot from Four Nations. It was like, oh, it's pretty clear what was happening. He was really worn down.
Yeah.
And then you look at this month and go, man, that schedule's nuts. That's the March schedule. But for the most part, he's kind of maybe not been as hot as he was, but he's found a way to create enough that he's picking up points and showing us exactly what he is on a pretty nightly basis.
Yeah, I'm actually interested to see they've got that that weird 4-day break at the start of April. And I'm wondering if maybe like after that little bit of a slow, like maybe he'll like get back into goal scoring. Just like that. I mean, 4 days off is a lot of days off. Especially after this month when it's been like pretty much every other day they've had a game. So, I mean, there's a chance he could get hotter again.
No, I absolutely believe those last few games in April, he could look a little bit even more like himself. And I'm looking forward to it because that game in April, that April 5th game is the one we're going to be at in Montreal. Yeah, it's really going to be fun after he has like, I think the last game is the 31st. And then he's got, and then, they don't play again until the 5th. So that is going to be a lot of fun. But I am glad that he and Coots and TK kind of all continuing to produce. It's nice to see that somebody is doing a little bit of something for this team right now, because man, it's rough. It's a rough watch. It really is. I know this is what you sign up for when you're rebuilding. And right now, losses or wins, man, I didn't think I'd be saying that again after we coined it a few years ago. But here we are, losses or wins, and they've certainly been winning lately, but that doesn't make the games any more fun to watch, Kelly. But at least we have Mish. At least there's something that's keeping our attention. All right, I think it's time for tonight's Tankathon spin, and this is a big one because you look at the standings. Buffalo has moved percentage points by points percentage ahead of the Flyers. The Flyers are now 4th from the bottom. They have the 4th best lottery odds. Buffalo's regulation win, and just trying to see what Nashville's points percentage is. Nashville's still a little behind, but hey, we have that head-to-head. They have a couple games in hand.
Yeah,
it's doable. All right, with the 4th spot right now, let's see how they do. Brenna, spin that wheel. All right, and it randomizes. It's going. I feel like this is taking longer than usual. Down to 5. God. Rangers, imagine
hates us.
The Rangers move the maximum of 10 spots. The Rangers moved all the way up.
That is the most cursed spin we've seen, I think, the entire time we've been doing this.
It's one of them. San Jose, Chicago, Nashville, Philly. And this is the importance in the lottery system where you can fall 1 or 2 spots. You can move up to 1 or 2, but so can the teams at 11 or higher. You can move up 10 spots. It would suck to fall, but at least you're still in the top 5 in this scenario.
I got to tell you, like, so we're talking about not having a lot to watch for or root for.
Yeah.
The fact that they're so, like, the fact that number 3 is in reach, like, that's giving me something to watch for and root for. Like, I'm going to become the biggest Nashville Predators fan on earth. I've already become the biggest Buffalo Sabres fan. They're doing what they need to do for us. It's just, I mean, you can have fun with anything if you really want to. And I'm going to have fun with this. We might get to 3.
It's very possible. And if they get to 3, that guarantees like a top 5 pick. That is absolutely huge. It obviously increases your odds of moving to 1 or 2. 3 is where you need to be, Hinkle. 3 is where you need to be. There is no catching San Jose or Chicago. They are, of course, losing on purpose. But man, it's rough going. Before we get to the super chats, just real quick, because you're not going to be on tomorrow, I believe.
I cannot, no.
Yeah, all right. That's all well and good. You absolutely provide plenty of service throughout the season, Kelly. But I want to just ask you about Kolosov real quick. Just this thought I had. Just thinking, I kind of had the same thought as Charlie. Like, coach is probably just done with Fedotov, and we're going to see Kolosov backing up, maybe even get into a few games over the next couple of weeks with 9 games now left in the season. And okay, the coach is done with Fedotov. That's fine. He's not very good. He's going to be 29 next year. Like, you're not really losing a ton. Maybe they have a mutual termination of the contract. He goes back to the KHL. Flyers have no cap repercussions. Dope. That would all be well and good. But I'm just thinking about the other guys in the AHL. guys who have worked their asses off all year in the American Hockey League, whether it's Grabenkin, who just came over, but he spent a majority of the year in the AHL, got a few games with the Leafs, but that's pretty much it. Hunter McDonald, who we know they like and they're hoping to see play in the NHL sooner than later. Helge Grans, who looked okay in his little call-up. Tony Dick, who's been pretty good on at both levels this year. Jacob Gaucher. I know Samu hasn't played since March 1st, so maybe that's out of the realm. But just guys who are down there. Maybe it's like, focus on the Calder Cup playoffs. That's what we want you thinking about. You can't even get called up now. It's off the table. You ain't getting called up. But that's got to be a bummer, right? Like, that's got to be a pain in the ass for like a guy who's just kind of working down there. And this dude who, what's he played? 10 AHL games? Like, oh, he gets a call up? Cool, thanks.
So I agree with you, but also I kind of feel like outside of guys who would be getting their first NHL game, like, would you rather come deal with this slog, or would you rather stay with your boys and try to maybe win a Calder Cup? You know what I mean? Like, I could see like a guy that's never been in the NHL. Like, if you get a chance to get called up, that might be your one and only chance to play in the NHL. That's pretty cool. But all of those guys have been up before, and
that's fair.
I don't know how much fun they would have being called up right now. So maybe it's just better to hang out in Allentown and go for the Calder.
Yeah, maybe that is. I would like to see Giovanni Smith have come up just so maybe we see a couple of fights. Nick Delorier hasn't had much luck with dancing partners this year. Maybe Giovanni Smith. I've seen a lot of his fight videos, and while he is quite willing, doesn't always go as well for him. So maybe there'd be some more willing dance partners for him, and we could get a couple of fights. But ultimately, I guess it doesn't matter. Like, when Jacob Gaucher is one of the dudes I mentioned, like, who cares? But
yeah,
I don't know. I just feel like if I was in the AHL, I'd be pissed.
Oh, totally. I mean, like, overall, just because, like, it's just whining that got him NHL time, like, at all. And that's really annoying. And then when you couple with the fact that once he got his chance up here, he wasn't very good.
No.
But he still keeps getting rewarded with being called up. I could totally see why you would be annoyed by it. I wouldn't be surprised if his teammates don't like him, because he seems not likable.
And like, he just hasn't spent like a ton of time with them going back to last
year. Like, why aren't you trying?
Like,
try to be their teammate.
He got abandoned in a hotel room, and like, that's all the talk. Like, oh, I guess these guys just ignored him, and then into this year, it's like, yeah, he's down there for a little bit, and then he gets called back up, and he lost the competition to a guy the coach is like done with. Like, what exactly has he done to earn it? I don't know. I just feel like it would. We'll see. We'll see how it all works out over the end of the season and into the summer, and if there's any more on the never-ending Cola saga. But it is now time for the super chats. All right, I believe we have like 5 tonight. Ryan Poehling, the GOAT, I guess. I'm feeling good for him. Like, it's cool that he's doing it. And at the same time, like we all said, all three of us, like, yeah, man, if your big highlight is, Ryan Poehling is kind of scoring a lot, right? It means no one else is scoring. And that's rough. But hey, hats off to Ryan Poehling. In a night where, for the first time maybe all season, I actually questioned the team's effort. An effort guy gets a goal and he continues to keep it going. Hats off to him, because it can't be easy. Like, I realize, like, it can't be easy. Like, yes, I know they're all rich and they're getting paid to play a game, blah, blah, blah. It's a privilege. Work is work, man. Like,
everything is a job once it becomes your job, man.
Exactly. Like, it's like recognizing me tonight, like my feeling watching the game, is why I decided to give away a bunch of t-shirts over the next 10 coaches. Because like, work is it still becomes kind of work. So like, I get it. But it's cool that Ryan Poehling is still he's you can't say he's not grinding.
No, right. And he's 110% every night guy, so it's nice to see those guys get rewarded.
Definitely. All right, and that was Prince Punk. Appreciate it. All right, from old pal JH. Buffalo wins. Michkov point. Flyers blown out. Perfect tank game. 11 out of 10.
It was a perfect tank game.
I don't want people to get the impression like when these shows most of the time focus on the micro, like, and we'll, bitch about a couple things here and there that we didn't like, and this needs to be better than that. Fully recognize that losses are wins right now. I don't want to get that lost in all of this, that we know we're well aware, and I am rooting against them. When they scored first night, it was like, damn it. Is this going to be the game where they show up and it's like, oh, told you we don't quit. Well, luckily it wasn't, and they got crushed 7-2. So it was during the broadcast, and it was either JJ or Boosh. They're just talking like, the Flyers did score first. I was like, oh yeah, remember that? I remember thinking like, here we go. This is going to be the one they show up for. Luckily, that was not the case. But good to hear from you, JH. Yeah, no danger. Yeah. All right, this next one here from Gary B. What up, Gary? Says Preds and Sabres won, only positive from being in Toronto, watching that game live. Let's go tanking Flyers. Yeah, it's a shame. I wish this isn't where we were. One day, Kelly, we will talk about a good team. And
someday it's going to happen, Bill.
We will get to cover a playoff team where there's fans in the stands, One day,
I know how to act.
One day it will happen for us. Today is not that day, though. It's a bummer, but we have to take the small victories, and Buffalo and Nashville winning and the Flyers losing, that's a small victory. So that's where we are.
And a Michkov point.
Yeah, and a Mish point. We can't forget about that. So, all right, I guess we'll take what we can get. All right, this next one here from Obi-Wan. Keep calm and tank on. Hey, K, bye. Yeah, that's exactly where we are. It just sucks. I want to talk about a good team.
I don't know how Sabres fans have done this for so long.
I can't believe there is a single person paying admission to get into that building. What a freaking fan base. I often think like there are maybe 3 sports towns in America. I think it's Philly and Boston are kind of like cousins. Rival cousins, but we're the same. And I'll give it to Chicago. I hate the 2 baseball team thing. I think you don't count if you have multiple teams because everyone in the city has to be on the same page. But they are a hell of a sports city, so I'll give that to them. Buffalo, only the 2 teams. I guess they have like the Blue Jays, but like that's not theirs. They have to adopt it, things like that. If you show up to a Buffalo Sabres game, they should let you coach, quite honestly. Like do the lineup read or play goal. Everyone in the building should get something every single night. A bobblehead, $1, something.
Agreed.
My God. 2011. They haven't gone to the playoffs since 2011, and they were the 7th seed that year.
You know what's kind of messed up when you think about it? It's kind of basically been that long for us too.
Yeah, it's been that long, but like at least we can like say we've gone to the playoffs,
Yeah.
Now 2011 is the last time other than 2020 they weren't in the they made it to the second round.
Yeah.
But at least there was more than 82 games.
That's
before
true.
we wrap up, just want to say it's time for overtime. That's right. It's over all right. The conversation continues at allphly.com, but we don't have a whole lot left. I think 1 or 2 super chats, and then it's time to wrap. All right. From James, Kevin Kurz says, and this is a quote from Torts, "This falls on me. I'm not really interested in learning how to coach in this type of season where we're at right now."
Oh, is this hard for you? Are you bored? This not fun for you anymore?
I wonder if he's not behind the bench next game. I really do.
They don't, if he...
That quote right there tells me he ain't gonna be.
That is buddy,
I gotta see
your
the
heart's
whole
not
thing.
in it anymore, bud. Like, just go upstairs. It's fine.
I'll watch the press conference and everything once it shows
thing
up on Twitter and see the context. But that quote right there, dog, what do you think? We're gonna be better next year? Like, all right.
There's no
That quote
shame in
there-
being done.
That quote right there tells me it's a lot closer to over than I thought it was. I think it was a conversation, but like more than 50% he comes back. I'm
Yeah.
not positive based on that, but again, context and
Right. You got to see the whole thing.
it's one of those, we know he does that. Oh yeah, everyone's mad at the end of the year anyway, so I do my exit interviews after. Like we got to get him away from the season too to know how he
Right.
really feels, you know?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
that's interesting quote. Interesting quote. Is there, I think that was the last, nope, one more here from Catholic Nano. Going to the Buffalo game on Saturday. Do I root against the Flyers openly or in secret? Hashtag
Openly.
Tankathon.
Openly in a Flyers jersey.
Because
That's the way to do it.
those Buffalo fans have to, I wonder if they're just like, we'll take any win. And also like, oh, what have all these top picks gotten us anyway? Like, I wonder where they are on that scale of like, oh, of course, because that's where we would be, right? Like they start winning some games, we'd be like, of course they're winning now because they're losers.
Right.
You know, like
Right.
that's what we'd be saying. I wonder if that's what they're saying or they're all in on the tank. I wonder. So report back, Catholic Nano.
Yeah, we
but
want to know.
I think you should wear it. I think you should root against the Flyers openly because that's what the rest of us are doing. All right. I believe that is it on the one more. One more. Okay.
He's coming in hot.
Okay. Another Gary B.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here it is. Flyers give me my birthday present Thursday and lose. Well, happy early birthday. Happy early birthday, Gary. Hopefully they come through for you with another not 2 points. That would be really something. All right, and I believe that's all the time we have for you on PHLY Flyers, presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Charlie and I will be live with you tomorrow at 4 p.m. And we're going to have a special guest. That's right. We're going to check in with our Phantoms correspondent, Maddie Campbell. So make sure you tune in for that at 4 o'clock. Of course, Thursday, pre and post, all that stuff. You know the drill. Yeah, so follow us right here on YouTube. Never miss a live show. Set that reminder bell so you get those notifications when we do go live. Follow our Twitter at PHLY_Flyers. Remember, that's where you want to DM us tonight's keyword for your chance to win a t-shirt, a PHLY t-shirt of your choice. And finally, follow the podcast as well. Wherever you get those, just search PHLY Flyers. That's it for us. I'm Bill Matz. That's Kelly Hinkle. Till tomorrow, roll on Tank.